Hi everybody, this is Crystal. Welcome to my channel, Bagoday Crochet, where we talk about everything that is yarn and crochet related. So if you have not, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my yarn content or crochet tutorials. I have well over 1,000, all free for you to enjoy. So today's video is going to be a crochet tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make this throw blanket here. It is absolutely beautiful, and it will be absolutely beautiful in whatever yarn that you choose to use. And it's actually a very, very easy throw to do. And it's a stitch that works up rather quickly. Now, as you can see, I do not have a lot of room to show you on my table, but you did see the picture there. And this is what the stitch looks like up close. Now, this is the iris stitch. It's also can be called a double V stitch, but that's what it looks like. It's super easy to do. And here is the border that is along the bottom. This is put on after the fact. It is some ribbing, which again is quite easy to do, and I'll show you how to do that. You can also leave the border off if you want. Here's the corners of the border. Or you could do a different type of border, you know, fringe or single crochet border, you know, whatever you choose. You don't have to do it like me. So mine measures, it's approximately 57 inches long and about 73 inches tall. So that's the size of mine. I have a king size bed, and it goes, it pretty much fits the bottom like a throw would, you know what I mean? Like it fits pretty well across the bottom of it like a throw would. But you make it any size you want because I'm going to give you the multiple. So now that you've seen it, let's go ahead and talk about the yarn. Okay, so the yarn for the main color of the blanket, it's Hirschner's Worsted Stripes. Now this is, you don't have to use the yarn that I'm using. Any yarn that you choose will be fine. It is a 100% acrylic, medium weight number 4. There are 743 yards per ball. Now this is their big ball, their 12-ounce ball. So I used about 3.5 balls. So of the main color, you're going to need around 2,700 yards of the main color to make it the size that I'm making. The color I am using is called Moroccan. I think it's gorgeous. Really striped up nicely. And for the border that you see, that gray color, that is the same gray that's in it, I use Hirschner's as well. This is their regular worsted 8 yarn. And it is the same. It's a 100% acrylic, a medium weight number 4. There's 489 yards per ball. And I didn't quite use the whole ball, about 400 yards for the border on that. The color I used is called Sleet. So that's the 2 yarns. They're both from Hirschner's. Remember, any 4-weight yarn will work, and I'll also give you the multiple in case you want to use a different size of yarn. That way you can chain to your desired length in that multiple and make it as big or as small as you'd like. But this turned out quite well. Remember, about 27 yards, to make it my size, 2,700 yards of the main color, and about 450 yards of the border color to do it like mine. And then I'm going to be using a size J, which is a 6mm crochet hook. Why don't we go ahead and get started? Alright, so this I'm going to show you with a different color. This stitch is done in a multiple of 4 plus 4 plus 3, which means that your chain needs to be evenly divisible by 4, and then you add 3 more at the end. Now, if you want to make it the size that I did, I chained 175 stitches of the main color. Remember, we add that border last. So once you get your chain of 175, we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets in the 5th chain from our hook. So we count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, we don't count this one that's on our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that 5th chain, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So there's 1. Oops. And there's 2. Just like that. And then we are going to chain 1, and we're going to go back into the same spot, and we're going to work 2 more double crochets. There's 1, and there's 2. So that is our V-stitch for this pattern. 2 doubles, a chain 1, and 2 doubles. Now we're going to start the repeat of row 1. We're going to skip 3 stitches. Skip, skip, skip. And in the next, we're going to work our V-stitch. So skip your 3, skip, skip, skip. We're going to work 2 doubles. 1, 2, chain a 1, and 2 more doubles back into the same stitch. So 1 and 2, just like that. And that's what we're going to repeat until we get to near the end of the row, or till we get to the last 2 stitches. So again, we're going to skip 3 stitches, skip, 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 and we're going to put our V-stitch into the next. So it's 2 doubles. There's 1, 2, chain 1, and 2 more doubles into the same stitch, like that. Repeat again, skip 3, skip, skip, skip. In the next, we work our V-stitch, 2 doubles, chain 1, 2 doubles. So we're going to go ahead and repeat this pattern, like I said, until we get to the last 2 stitches of our row. Alright, so I've made it to the last 2 stitches of my row. I'm going to skip 1 and end by putting a double crochet into the very last stitch, and that will end row 1. Now, like I said, it is a super simple pattern, and it will work up rather quickly. Row 2 is the repeat row for the whole pattern until we get to the border, of course. So what we're going to do is we are going to chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we're going to turn our work. And we're going to work 1 double crochet right here into the very first stitch. So right there in that spot, we're going to work our double crochet. And now we're going to start the repeat of a row 2 by working a V-stitch in each of these chain 1 spaces, or the middle of the V-stitches from the previous row. So we're going to go into this space right here, and we're going to work 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. Just like that. Jump over here to the middle of the next V, this chain 1 space, work another V, 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. And this is what we're going to repeat until we get to the last stitch of our row. Again, jump over here to your next V-stitch, 2 doubles, chain 1, and 2 doubles. So I'm going to continue this until I get to the last stitch of my row, working the V-stitch in the chain 1 space of every V-stitch from the previous row. Alright, I've made it all the way across and I'm at the end of row 2, and I'm going to end by putting a double crochet into this very last stitch here on the end. Just like that. That ends row 2 and that ends the repeat. Now we're just going to keep repeating that row. So let's do it again. We're going to chain 1 and turn. Remember that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. We're going to go right back into this very first stitch here and double crochet. And then again, just like the previous row, we're going to work a V-stitch in each one of these chain 1 spaces all the way until our last stitch. So go into the chain 1 space and we're working 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles, just like that. Jump to the next one and the same, 2 doubles, chain 1 and 2 doubles. I'm going to repeat this until I get to the last stitch of my row. Remember, I'm just repeating row 2. And alright, at the end, remember we just put 1 double crochet into the last stitch. Now we just keep repeating row 2 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth until you get it as tall as you like it to be. So if you're following along with me, you want to repeat row 2 until your piece reaches approximately 70 inches tall. And then we will put the border on. So we'll go ahead and start with the border. Don't tie off, we're gonna use the main collar for the first round of the border. All right, if you wanna do the border like me, once you got your piece 70 inches tall or taller if you'd like, what we're gonna do is go around it with a row of single crochet. We're gonna try to evenly space them out the best that we can. But we're gonna put 3 single crochets in each of the corners. So we'll go ahead and start off by chaining 1. Don't count that as a stitch. Now we're going to work our way down here. And remember, the chain count will be different for everybody, but just do your best to try to evenly space out your single crochets. A good rule of thumb that I use is I try to put 2 single crochets to every double crochet along the side. Just like this. The only thing we need to make sure of is when we are finished putting this row of single crochet around is that it's an even number. That's it. Okay, and when you make it to the corner, you want to put 3 single crochets in the corner. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now we'll work along the bottom, putting 1 single crochet in each of the, this is the bottom that we started, each of the chain spaces, and in each of the, where we put the cluster. So there's like 3 chain spaces between the clusters. And then the cluster stitch has got a little bit of a, there we go. We're going to do this all the way across the bottom row. Alright, I'm coming to the corner here at the bottom, and I'm going to put 3 stitches into that corner. And then I'm going to work all the way up. Remember, your piece will be a lot bigger than mine, but evenly spacing out single crochets. I try to put 2 to each double. I try. Doesn't always work like that, but just do the best that you can. Alright, I made it up to the top, and this is how we will work the top. So first corner stitch is this first double crochet at the top. Go ahead and put 3 single crochets in it. Now across the top where we ended, we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the doubles. But we're going to skip this chain space here. Just skip over it and go to the next double and put 1 single crochet in each of those. Single crochet in the next doubles. And skipping this chain 1 space, jump over here to the next double, just like this. So we're not doing anything special for the top, but we're just putting 1 single crochet into every double crochet, and we're just skipping that chain 1 space like it's not even there. So go ahead and work that all the way across. Alright, I made it all the way across, and here is the last V that we did. I single crocheted into it, and now this little space here on the end, let's put 3 double crochets into that. 1, 2, and 3. And then this little chain 1 space here, we're going to skip it and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And we're going to tie off and we're going to switch colors. Now remember, the only thing you need to do is make sure that you have an even number of stitches all the way around your piece with 3 single crochets in each corner. Alright, we'll go ahead and start that edging. So we're going to start in the stitch after the 3 single crochets we put in the corner. So in the one that we just slip stitched into, that's where we're going to start. Alright, so I switched colors so you can see. Remember the one right after the 3 single crochets that we just did. So it's the one we slip stitched into. And we are going to do a chain of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook, and then we're going to single crochet in each of the remaining 7 stitches. So counting that single crochet that we did in the second stitch and the 7 that we just did, we should have a total of 8 single crochets. Now we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So this one right here, we're going to go into it and slip stitch, and then we're going to go into the next one and slip stitch, just like that. Now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to work back up this chain here, but from now on we're just going to be working in the back loops only. So you see that the stitch has 2 loops. The one closest to you is a front loop, and the one furthest away is the back loop. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches. So starting with this one right here, back loop only, go right into the back loop and single crochet 8 times. There's 1 in each stitch. So there's 1, go to the next one. There's 2, the next one. 3, the next one. 4, the next one. 5, the next one. 6, the next one. 7, and then the last one, back loop, makes 8. Just like that. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to work back down, working in the back loop only. We're going to back single crochet in the next 8 stitches, starting with this very first one here. So back loop only for the very first one. There's 1 all the way down, back loop, single crochet, 2, and you'll have 8 when you get to the bottom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and there is 8, and that is just a chain 1, so that doesn't get worked into. And again, we're going to repeat by slip stitching into the next 2 stitches. The next, not this one because we already worked this one, but the next one we're going to slip stitch. And again, one more time, we are going to slip stitch, chain 1, and we're going to repeat this. So 1 single crochet, back loop only, into the next 8 stitches of the chain. So we don't do the chain 1 down here, remember. Starting with this first single crochet, back loop only, single crochet all the way up, back loop, 1 in each stitch, and you should have a total of 8 every time. And then you chain 1 and turn, and you work back down. 1 single crochet in the back loop only, starting with this very first one here. Go into it, back loop, single crochet, and work down. Single crochet in the back loop only, and you should have 8 when you make it back down. Like that. That's our chain 1, so we don't go into it, and we're going to repeat it again. We're going to slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. There's 1 and 2, chain 1, and repeat the same thing. Now we're going to keep repeating this all the way until we get to the corner, those 3 single crochets that are in the corner. And that's where I'll meet back up with you, and I'll show you how to go around the corners with this stitch. Remember, you're going to have 8 stitches going up, 8 stitches going down, and it's always working in the back loops. See that? It's giving that nice ribbed edging, and that's what we like. So I'm going to continue this, and I'll meet back up with you when I get to those 3 stitches in the corner. Alright, so I've made it down, and I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. And now the second one is the first stitch of my group of 3. Like that. So now we're going to work these 3 corners. We're going to work them just a little bit different. The same, but we're just going to kind of do it twice in each stitch, if that makes sense. We'll go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And we're going to go back up this stitch, up this like we normally do, back loops only. Chain 1 and turn. Back down it like normal, back loop only. You still should have your 8 stitches each time. All right, now remember we're on the first stitch of our 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch back into that very first stitch of our 3 single crochets in the corner. We're just going to do that one time like that. We're going to chain 1 and go back up again. So we're actually just doing it twice in each of these 3. That's going to help round out the corner. So we're going to do the same thing, 1 single crochet, back loop only in every stitch. Just like this, and you'll still have your 8. You'll always have your 8. Chain 1 and back down, just like we normally do. So that was 2 times we went in that first single crochet of that group of 3. And now here is the second single crochet of the group of 3 in the corner. So we're just going to slip stitch into that one time, chain 1 and turn and go back up like we always do, back loop only. Chain 1 and turn, go back down, back loop only. This ribbing is actually very easy. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be speeding right through it. There's 8. And now we're going to slip stitch into the same stitch again. That we're on the second single crochet of our group of 3. Go back in that same spot and slip stitch, chain 1, and we're going to go back up it again. So the only difference is here is we're putting 2 of these rows in each of those 3 stitches on a corner. Like I said, that's going to help round out the corner so it lays flat. So this is the second one for the second stitch in the corner, chain 1, turn, go back down it, same as always, a back loop only. Okay, we did twice into that one. Now we have 1 more stitch left in our group of 3. So we're going to slip stitch into that one, and we're going to do the same. We're going to chain 1 and go back up, back loop only. You'll have 8 stitches. Chain 1, turn, go back down, same as always, back loop only. So that was one time we worked in that last stitch of our group of 3. We need to do it again. So slip stitch in the same spot, chain 1, and go back up it again just like normal, working in the back loops. Chain 1, go back down. And then when we get down to the bottom, that will finish out this corner. And we can go back to what we were doing normally along the side. So that finished out those 3 corners. So now we can go ahead and start like we were doing, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches. So slip stitch, chain 1, and work back up. Remember, you always have your 8 going up and your 8 going down, always working in the back loops. And we're going to do this all the way across the bottom. And then when we get to the next corner, we'll do it the same as we just did this corner. It's kind of just working it twice in each of those 3 stitches. And we're going to repeat this all the way around, what we've been doing, until we get back to our starting point. Again, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches because we're not at a corner anymore, so just working it like this. Chain 1 and turn and go back up. So you can see how we went around a corner, made it where the corner is going to lay nice and flat now. So we're going to repeat this pattern all the way around. When you get to your next corner over here, you do it the exact same as you did this corner, and then when you go up the side, you do it the exact same way that we're doing the sides here, the bottom and the sides. And the next corner is the same as this corner. And I'll meet back up with you the next corner, the last corner, you do it the same. I'll meet back up with you after we finish our last corner, and I'll show you how to seam it together at the end. Alright, so I've made it all the way to the end here. So what you want to do is just go ahead and tie this off. Actually, just go ahead and once you make it to your last stitch and you did your 2 rounds through that last of the 3 single crochets, clip your yarn, leave a tail here so we can do some sewing. Just pull it through like that, and then get your yarn needle out, and we're just going to sew it to the beginning. So with our yarn tail here, just take it and kind of just start at the bottom where you left off and pull it tight here and neatly sew it up the best that you can, matching the stitches up. If you want to just go through that 1 loop there, that'll give you that back loop, kind of make it look like it's going through the back loop. Just sewing through the back loop. And then go through the next stitch over here. Remember, we're just using the tail that I had left over. You can sew it together a different way if you prefer, but as long as it gets sewn up, it's fine. And that's how we do it. Mine isn't looking that good. Yeah, just do your best to make it look good. You can also slip stitch it together if you prefer that. once you make it to the top here, like that, and she's all sewn up. You can go ahead and hide this tail on the back of your work, you know, and yeah, hide it up and clip it off, and that's it. It's finished. I didn't do it all the way through, but I did do it enough to show you how to complete that. So I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I hope that you were able to follow along. And this is what it looks like in the end. See that ribbon? There's the sew up there, so it's not gonna be perfect. That's okay. If we want perfect, we buy it at the store. And even half the time, 3/4 of the time, it's not even perfect from there. I like it. I think it turned out well. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it too. Now, if you make this, you can show me a picture on my Bagoday Crochet Facebook page. I'd love to see it. There's a link to that below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button if you enjoyed. Check out all my other tutorials. Like I said, I have over 1,000 of them. And I'll see you guys on my next video, okay? Bye, guys. Take care.